Hi, Trace, this is Berto, and this tutorial I'm going to go over buy and sell signals on the FX Agency Advisor 3 and which signals to take. So let me get started. This pair is the pound dollar. The first thing I do is go to the daily chart. Notice on a daily chart there was a buy signal a few days ago. That's my first clue that the market's in an uptrend, so I should start looking for buy signals on the smaller time frames. Just like this sell signal up here, and this is on a daily chart. Look how long this signal lasted, for about 2 weeks or even more. Now we have a trade in the opposite direction. So that's the first thing I do. Then I'll go to the 4-hour chart, see if there's a buy signal generated on the 4-hour, and there was yesterday. So there's a buy signal on the 4-hour and the daily chart. So I start looking for buy signals that are generated. I look at the panel, and as long as the daily 1-hour, 30-minute, and 15-minute chart, they're all green, and it says look to buy, then that's the direction I want to take on a trade. Now it's a little bit too late to take a buy trade unless it can penetrate this resistance level, which is at the moment at 141.89. If the body of a candle closes above that, then what happens is that this alert disappears, and then that would be a continuation of a trend. Okay, but everything is all based on the higher time frames. So on the weekly chart, we also had a buy signal. So any signal that's generated on a weekly and daily chart, normally these signals last for days, if not weeks at a time. There was a signal generated back in November 2015 up here, and look how long this signal lasted. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is look at these higher time frames to see if there's any signal generated, and because most likely any signal that is generated on the weekly and daily chart is going to last quite a while. Let's look at some other pairs. Here is one trade setup that has generated a single signal on the pound Australian dollar, and that is a buy signal at this level. It's 192.36 area. Weekly chart has also generated a signal. So most likely this run for now is over. We may see this turn around and retrace all the way back up to $2.10 area. So how do we trade this if we have a signal that is generated on the daily chart? And again, if this candle breaks below that support level and closes, then this signal disappears. So as long as the signal is there, it's active. So how do we trade this? Well, we go to the smaller time frame and we look for entries, and that was the entry to buy right there. And currently, if you would have taken this trade, it'd be about 85 pips at the moment. Okay, so that's how we trade this. Look at the daily chart, see if there's a buy or sell signal, then go to a smaller time frame for your entries. You can go to your 15-minute chart, you can go to the 5-minute chart. There were several signals generated, and notice the market is not having lower lows anymore, it's having higher lows and higher highs. So that signal that again was generated on the 1 hour on the daily chart is making the market turn around, this currency pair turn around and head north. Okay, so when we see a signal, for example here, the signal was generated on the daily chart, and then all we needed to do, if I highlight that area, and I know it's easy to see in hindsight, but if you just be patient and just follow these strategies, then you should do well. Okay, so I see a signal that was generated back in February 5th, 2016. So just go to the smaller time frames, and we just need to find that area. going from a daily chart to a 1 hour chart is not easy. Let me just switch over to 4. So there it is on the 4 hour chart. Okay, that level of resistance, that was a signal on the daily. So all we need to do is take the trade in the direction of the daily or weekly. Let's go back to the weekly. That's the weekly. The entry was at 215.85. So that was the trade signal on the weekly and also on the daily chart. So I'm going to go to a smaller time frame, see if I can locate this. There it is, right there. Okay, so the point that I'm making is that when you see trades signals on higher time frames on a daily chart or weekly chart, those signals can last days and weeks at a time. This signal generated 1200 pips and it was 2 weeks. Okay, so now we find a buy signal at this area. So when there's a buy signal generated on a daily or weekly chart, it's generated at a previous support turn resistance. See the support from back in July 2014? This is the pound. We're still in the pound Aussie. Pound Aussie here, support, support, turn this is the resistance turn support, bouncing off that same place, generating a signal on the weekly chart. So we scroll down to the 1 hour chart, start looking for entry levels. Okay, so the entry was at 191.70. Okay, that was the trade. It's too late to enter the trade. The market's gone up too much now. I'd like to see it come back down to this level so we can look for a buying opportunity. Here again this is the USD CAD. Here's a sell signal on a daily chart, and look how many days it took before it found support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 weeks on a daily chart. So these signals on a daily chart are extremely powerful, very significant, and you need to pay attention to this. Usually, if you just look at a 1 hour chart, you may be looking at, you don't really clearly see where the market's going. For the past few weeks, USD CAD has been selling off. So on the 1 hour and the 30-minute chart, we would pay attention to those sell signals that the market's generating. Why? Because the daily chart has been in a downtrend for quite some time, and as long as the daily on the panel here is showing a downtrend, then on the 1 hour chart we take the trades in the direction of the daily chart. I hope this makes sense. It may seem confusing because sometimes you'll see the panel say no trade, and of course you don't take a trade, especially this time of day. There's no activity, there's no volume. But during the opening of the session, and that was a few hours ago, like the New York session, the European session, or the Asian market, if you see all these red or green, then there's an opportunity to take a trade. And on this currency pair, there was a sell opportunity up here. It tells you exactly when to exit enter the trade. And the exit is really at the next support, which is now, right there. Okay, this is the pound Canadian dollar. It has generated a buy signal on the daily chart. So we start looking for buying opportunities. So on the smaller time frame, let me go back to the daily chart, and that signal was generated 3 days ago. So for the next 2 days, we should have been buying this pair. So if we go to the 1 hour chart, remember the signal was generated on the daily chart. So we're looking for buying opportunities. We're looking for signals to buy, and there was one today. There was one yesterday. I'm sorry, there was not one yesterday, but there was one. Yeah, it was yesterday, but it was late. So there's the entry right here there's the get ready level, and then there's the trade right here. Even though it did not move that much today, still managed to put in 60 pips to the upside. USD Swiss on the weekly chart generated a sell signal all the way up here, and that was approximately 2 weeks ago. And there's the retracement, and then it's been, so if you took your trade based on the weekly chart at 102.55, and right now it's at 99.05, that's, you know, more than 200 pips from the entry to the current level. And again, go to the 1 hour chart and start looking for sell signals. It's a higher time frame, and there was the sell signal. The higher time frames, the daily and the weekly chart, had given us a sell signals. And when we see sell signals or buy signals on weekly and daily charts, those signals would last at least a week at a time. And the last signal on the USD Swiss to sell was up here. It was the entry right there, and it generated 64 pips to the downside. That's it. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. If you haven't purchased the indicator, it's only $50. The link is at the bottom. If you do purchase it, just remember the companies in Canada, customer service is only open, I think, from 8 to 3 in the afternoon. So if you purchase the indicator, let's say like tonight, then you're not going to hear anything till the next day, 12 hours later. They will also install the indicator for you through remote PC using TeamViewer. And that's great. Customer service is excellent. They're very supportive. I had trouble downloading my indicator because I usually don't use MT4 platform, and within an hour I was up and running. Tomorrow's non-farm payroll. I will be sending the signals. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.